Hello, hello, beautiful ones. How are we doing? Hope you are having a beautiful day. Bear with me while I just check I'm in the right place. 2 moments. Oh dear, Facebook isn't finding me today. That's weird. What's going on? Gotta love tech. Oh, someone's found me, so that's good. Say hello as you hop on and join me. Tell me how you're doing today while I try and pin the video to the top of the screen. Oh dear, I don't know what's going on. You'll love technology, haven't you? Perhaps it's user error. There I am. Right, pinned to featured. There we go. Hopefully everyone will be able to find us now. So as you hop on, say hello, tell me what's going on for you today. Welcome. Lovely to have you here. Hi, Louise, gorgeous. Julie, beautiful. How are you? Lovely to see you. How is it up there? Is it chilly at the top of Scotland? I do, like, I see your pictures and they look so beautiful, like just unbelievably beautiful. And then I remember how cold it is and it kind of puts me off a little bit because I do love the warm, but like it looks so cozy in your little cottage. So I hope you're doing well. I hope the rest of you are doing well. And today I've got lots to share with you. Again, we are we're building a little bit more each day on the things that we've already covered so that we can create the most beautiful morning practice that is going to put you in the best possible state for the day ahead. So I hope that sounds good to you. But before we dive into that, I feel like I need to let you know something. So some of you may be aware, some of you may not be, if you haven't been in this space very long. But we have our Insights to Awakening, which is our meditation and spiritual teacher training course, coming up in Easter. But at the end of this month, the early bird pricing finishes. However, I have had, where I was poorly last week, I'd had messages about it and calls that I still need to do with people. So what I've decided to do is extend the early bird pricing till the end of Friday. So if you've been thinking about it, or if you want to know more about it, then you've got a little bit more time. I have put the link above so you can go have a look, see if it's something you want to do. This is ideal for you if you want to spend a couple of things there. So one, yeah, it's perfect if you want to incorporate more meditation and spiritual practices into an existing business. It's perfect for you if you've done nothing like that before, but that sounds like something that your soul is really craving and something that you would love to be a part of. And you would love to, develop. I'm laughing because Luna is snoring really loud in the background. I hope you can't hear it. But if you would love to become a meditation teacher or a spiritual coach, or if you would love to run groups where you do spiritual trainings, then actually this is going to be a really lovely training course for you. So that's available. Like say, early bird pricing was supposed to finish tomorrow, but I've extended it till Friday. So if you're interested, go have a look. If you want to have a chat to see if it's aligned to what you want, then send me a message on Facebook and we can arrange to have a chat. What I would say is it's also really useful if you just feel like you want to deepen your own spiritual connection. If this week has made you realize that actually this is part of you that perhaps you've not put enough attention or energy into, and you really want to change that this year, then that's a beautiful space to do it in, because not only do we look at spiritual practices for the sake of them, like I talk about this a lot, but so you really feel the benefits from them, right? Spirituality should be something that we get to really get the benefit from, really get the juice from. So if that sounds good to you, reach out or hop over to the page. It's on the Medicine Woman Collective /insights-2-awakening. I think I've put the link above. There we go. Now I've mentioned that, we can crack on with day 4. So day 4, we've already touched on cultivating that mindfulness and that curiosity mindset so that we don't get dragged into the stories of our mind. We don't start identifying with our emotions. We don't start getting pulled into the chaos that we can create within ourselves, and we can start seeing those things with a more objective lens. We can start seeing those things from the view of the witnesser, which gives us a little bit of space. It's like giving yourself a little bit of a buffer when it comes to the difficult things in life, or the difficult things that we're experiencing, or even like the joy. It stops us getting like too carried away with things. We can just appreciate things for what they are, the good, the bad, the ugly, all of it, right? Because that's what life's about. And then on day 2, we looked at how we can tap into that higher self, that part of us that gets that we're connected to all things, that understands that we're all one, and that actually we're not this little identity that we've created for ourselves, and how we can tap into that using that gateway drug of gratitude. And then we looked at yesterday. I had to think today when I was putting, what day are we? Right, we're day 4. So yesterday we looked at how we can start using journaling as part of our morning practice, but not journaling for the sake of journaling, but journaling in a way to elevate our energy, elevate us into that higher self, elevate us in line with who we really are, what we want to do in this world, the impact we want to make. So as we move through our day, we have that remembrance. We're coming from that energy rather than this little identity that we've created. Saying that, today it's all about how we can cultivate a healthy sense of identity, a healthy ego. So why would we want to do that? Well, our ego is essential for our survival. So you may have heard spiritual teachings, many of which have been taken out of context, that talk about like overcoming the ego, or the ego being this bad thing, this thing that we need to navigate past. But that's not entirely true, because without the ego, we wouldn't be able to survive. We wouldn't be able to create a living. We wouldn't be able to look after our children. We wouldn't be able to look after our parents. We wouldn't be able to do the things that we need to do. We wouldn't be able to look after ourselves and our own needs. So we need this healthy sense of identity in order to operate in what is a very material world. You know, we can't deny the fact that we need food, we need water, we need money, we need a roof over our heads, we need connection, and all of these things come from us having a separate sense of self, our ego. But one of the things that we can do that trip us up is, like I mentioned yesterday, we can fall into the trap of feeling like our ego, or our identity, our personality, is this static thing. Like, that's who I am. We put ourselves in this nice, neat little box. I'm this, I'm not that. I'm good at this, I'm rubbish at that. I like this thing, I don't like that. And then what it does is it limits us. So from a psychology perspective, we'd call that like our limiting beliefs, the things that kind of keep us like stuck and repeating the same patterns over and over again. From a Vedic perspective, this would be like the samskara, where we're repeating that same pattern over and over again, like grooves in a record. It's easy to follow that same groove over and over again. From if we think about in terms of our brain function, this is like our neural pathways. So it's kind of like if you walk through a forest, right? And I say that because I do that quite a lot. And, you can walk through a forest, it's got no paths, but if people keep walking over the same path over and over again, that cut way becomes a path after a while, right? It just becomes the easiest way to get through. And so this is what happens with our way of being. I've done that thing many times, so I'll just keep doing it over and over and over again. The truth is, we're the forest, we're not the path. But we keep identifying ourselves as the path because that's the thing we keep doing over and over and over again. But the truth is, we could move a little bit to the left, or we could move a little bit to the right, and we would still be us. It's just we're following a different path. And so that's what I wanted to start inviting you to think about today is, what are those paths that you're following? I.e., what are those patterns of behavior? What are those routines that you've got in place? What are the ways that you think in a certain way? What are the things that you believe to be true that are keeping you on the same path? Because the truth is, if you don't like the path that you're on, then you need to step a little bit to the left or a little bit to the right in order to see something different. I'm saying this like it's easy. And I want to kind of caveat this with the fact that, if anyone has ever tried to change a habit, if anyone has ever tried to change a behavior, if anyone has ever tried to change, something they do on a regular basis, we all know that's hard, right? So I don't know about you guys, but I gave up smoking when I was like in my 20s, or I'm trying to think now. Yeah, it would have been in my 20s. And oh my God, that felt like the hardest thing. And yeah, there was the nicotine craving. But even when I was over the nicotine craving, like just the pattern of behavior that I was in, I kept coming back to, right? Kept coming back to. I kept wanting to, after a meal, I wanted to have a cigarette. After, I'm trying to think what my patterns were there. We're going back a while. We're talking about 20s, right? But, after certain times in the day, there'd be a thing where, like in my head, it was saying, well, you need to go for a cigarette now. And I'm like, well, no, I don't smoke anymore. I don't smoke anymore. So there has to be another way. And so when we're changing things like thought patterns, whether that's in relation to how we view ourselves, the value we put on ourselves, the things that we say we're entitled to, the things that we give ourselves permission to have, then this can be really tough, right? Whether we're doing it in our external world or whether we're doing it in our internal world, it's the same principle. It's that same, we're doing that same thing. We're used to doing that same thing. So it might be you go to do something and internally you go, oh yeah, but I'm not good enough, or I'm not good at that, or I'm not allowed to have that, or having that makes me feel conceited. Having that makes me feel selfish. Having that is indulgent. And I say this as someone that had to train herself to get comfortable with enjoying life. And that sounds really bizarre, I know, but I see this in many of my clients. Because the truth is, we're told many messages from a young age around things like, in order to receive, you've got to work really hard. In order to have a nice life, you have to put in all this effort for 40 years. And like these little beliefs that can keep us locked in this feeling of unsatisfied. Like, I'm not allowed to enjoy this too much. If I enjoy this too much, it's going to be taken away. That feeling like the shoe is going to drop. Do you know what I mean? That feeling of like, I can't be too happy because otherwise something's going to go wrong. And I would love to know, as I'm talking this through, whether this resonates with any of you, whether you can see any of this. For you, it might be something like other beliefs that can keep us locked in these unhealthy, unhappy patterns. Things like, I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy enough. I need to prove myself. I need to fix myself. That was a big one for me. There's something fundamentally wrong with me. These little beliefs that operate in the background, whether they're conscious or unconscious, that keep us stuck in these kind of patterns of behavior that are unhelpful. So what can we do about them? You know, if you can see in your life that you're keeping yourself in a glass ceiling, so that might be in a financial glass ceiling, that might be in a happiness glass ceiling, like I'm not allowed to get any happier than that. It might be in terms of what time you're allowed to devote to yourself, the things that you're allowed to do for yourself. You know, for many years, I struggled with just giving myself permission to do things that I found interesting and enjoyable because they weren't productive, or, you know, there wasn't any benefit, because I was taught from a young age, again, out of love from the people around me, that, you know, things that I enjoyed, like my creative interests, weren't going to get me anywhere. They weren't going to create an income. It wasn't worth doing. It was a waste of time. And so inadvertently, I took that on to mean that there was no point me doing those things. There was no point me enjoying those things because there was no productivity associated with that. And so many of us have inadvertently taken on some of these things, and then we hold ourselves back from creating a life that really does feel abundant to us. And when I say abundant, what I mean is a life that is aligned to that higher self, to those values that you have deep within you, not values like badge of honor values that you think are the good values to have, but the things that really light you up. You know, I know that when I'm working with a client, like, time disappears. Like, literally, I'm in complete flow because all my attention is there, because that's exactly where I want to be. But then if I'm in another situation, like, for example, I spent many of my years in a corporate world where, you know, luckily a lot of that was spent coaching and doing things like that. But the times where I was doing the other things, it felt like hard work. But I told myself that's what I had to do. That was all I was allowed. I wasn't giving myself permission to have a life where I could do the things and build a life around the things that put me in flow and happiness and ease and grace. So that's kind of something to get your mind going today. And I'm going to talk you through a practice which we'll incorporate in a moment. I'll guide you through in a moment, but we'll also touch on the practices we've already done, so it really flows. But this practice today, it actually comes from a very old shamanic practice. It's a breathwork practice. And there's different types of ways that we can do this, but for today, we're going to be focusing on the breathwork element of it. And we use the breath work to work with our subconscious around those beliefs, those patterns that are no longer serving us. Those things that hold us back from that really abundant life, the life that, you know, makes you want to pinch yourself. If you wake up in the morning and you go, oh my God, this is it. I've done it. I've created it. This is it. So through this breath work, we can heal those parts of us that have taken on things from other people, taken on beliefs that aren't serving us. And we can also claim back the parts of us or the things that we knew that have got lost. So the parts of us that have got lost along the way through listening to other people. So like say in my journey, that was things like my self-belief, my self-trust, my creativity, my self-worth. There was so many things that I look back that I had to claim back through this healing journey. And what I would say is this is an ongoing process, right? Like all good things, this takes effort and change doesn't happen overnight. So this is why we incorporate it into our morning practice. So it's something that we come back to time and time and time again. And we remind ourselves, oh yeah, those things aren't me. Those things are me. Those things aren't me. These things are me. Might sound like I'm talking in riddles, but let me know if this is making sense. You're all very quiet today. And if you're watching on replay, let me know. So hopefully that is starting to get your mind working. And I would invite you to get comfy, get cozy, do whatever you need to do to settle in. As always, I would recommend, well, not always, but for these practices, I would recommend they're done sitting up, spine fairly straight. In terms of other body posture, when meditating, it can be helpful to, I can remember one of my Zen teachers teaching me this, but just imagine like there's a little bit of an orange that you're tucking under your chin as you're sitting up straight. And this will ensure that this, from the spine to the top of the head, is straight as well, so that you're getting that energy moving around. So I invite you to get comfy, get cozy, and when you're ready, just gently closing your eyes. And we'll start as we've done before with a few deep breaths into that abdomen area. And in that breath, we're infusing any stress or tension or worries that we've been holding on to today. And holding that breath just for a moment, just to allow that tension to build just a little bit. And then we can let go of that tension with a bit of a sigh. And I'm going to do that again. Nice deep breath in. Filling up the front, the sides, and the back of the lungs. Again, holding it at the top, we're going to create a little bit of tension just so we can notice that relaxation when we let it go. And release. Doing that one more time. Nice deep breath in. Nice deep breath in. Nice deep breath in. Filling up the whole of the body. Infusing that with any tension that you have in your shoulders, neck, tummy. And letting it go with a bit of a sigh. And you can make an audible noise if that feels good to you. So and then just bringing your awareness to that gentle rise and fall of the belly. And if you struggle to focus, then placing your hands on this area can be really useful. And this belly area, from a Chinese and Japanese point of view, it's our hara space. It's where we build that strength, that confidence, that groundedness. This is often used in martial arts. Build stability here so nothing can knock you over. And not trying to control the breath in any way. Not judging the breath in any way. It's allowed to be jittery, it's allowed to be shallow or deep. It's allowed to be irregular. There's no ideal state here. And then shifting that awareness to the emotional body. Noticing if any emotions are present for you today. And again, we're not judging those. Sadness is just as welcome as joy. Anger is just as useful as motivation. And just give yourself a chance to feel those things in terms of what sensations do they give you? Where do they live? Can you just be with them without the story, without the justification or talking yourself out of them? Just allow yourself to feel. And then moving quite quickly today, moving to the mind. Maybe the mind is quiet, maybe it's busy or hectic. Maybe it feels silent or dull. Again, none of these are better or worse than any other. Just watching if anything's going on. And if there's stories or thoughts going on, know that you don't have to get involved. Just like you're watching someone else having a conversation. Like people watching in a cafe. And then shifting that to the physical body. What's going on in the physical body today? And again, no judgment. Pain is just as welcome. Is there any pleasant sensation? Just getting curious, exploring. Often pain, like emotion, just wants to be seen, wants to be witnessed, wants to be heard. Without judgment, without criticism. And now placing your hands on your heart space. And starting to bring to mind the things that you're grateful for. We're opening up this space. And again, these things can be as big or as small. It doesn't matter. As long as they generate that feeling within you of how lucky am I. And on those days when life feels particularly challenging, or the people in my life feel particularly challenging, I'll often come back to nature and think of the fact that I get to witness the leaves turning in autumn, the full moon every month, how it shines on the waves of the ocean. I got excited over the weekend looking at snowdrops and that feeling of spring is coming. The blue skies that happen occasionally in January. Whatever it is for you that generates that feeling of how lucky am I, and then allowing that to build within you consciously, building that energy, allowing it to expand, allowing it to get stronger, allowing it to infuse into every cell of your being till you feel like you're almost glowing with gratitude. And that feeling of thank you, thank you, thank you. How lucky am I? Maybe it's the fact that we live in the day and age where we can connect this way, where we can access spiritual teachings that were hidden for so long, or only passed down through word of mouth to particular people. How lucky are we? And when you can feel that vibration of gratitude within you, when it feels really big and strong, allowing that question to emerge that wants to come out automatically, which is, and how can I give back? How can I be of service? How can I be of use to this amazing world? And allow those answers to come to you now. And then, as we did yesterday, picking up your journal, pen and paper, and asking yourself that question. And we're going to run through the questions quite quickly today, so we've got time for this breathwork practice. But we're starting with that question: how can I be of service to this world? How can I be of service to this world? Your first question to journal. And just so you know, there's a reason why we're going over it over and over and over again each day. We're building those new neuro pathways, right? How can I be of service to this world? And again, we're not overthinking this. This isn't a cognitive exercise. Just allow the words to flow, even if they make no sense right now. Just trust. Trust whatever's coming through. How can I be of service to this world? Then question number 2, what are my inherent gifts? What are my inherent gifts? Modesty gets parked. Allow it to flow. We're coming from higher self, not ego here. What am I naturally good at? What comes easy to me? Normally in a workshop, I would have background music on here while we're doing the journaling. However, Facebook tends to mute my videos when I do that. So we're not doing that. Question number 3. If I was fully owning these gifts, how would I be living differently? If I was fully owning these gifts, how would I be living differently? Knowing that, it's an interesting belief that not many people have, but what I know to be true is when I do what's right for me, I do what's right for those around me. I'm no good to those around me if I don't do what's right for me. So how would I be living differently if I was fully owning these gifts? And remembering you can come back to this, you can come back to this as many times as you need to. Your final question is, what action can I take towards that life today? What action can I take towards that life today? And starting to wrap that up now as we come on to today's practice, where we don't even have to consciously identify what those things are that we've taken on from other people that are holding us back. We don't even have to be aware of what the things are of ourselves that we've not claimed or we're not living in accordance with. So that's those parts of us that would allow us to live more abundantly. But what I invite you to do is just hold that sense within yourself of what are those things, or that feeling of those things where other people have put restriction or limitation on who you are and the life you get to have. And I invite you to allow that feeling to build within you, that feeling of being held back, that feeling of a barrier between you and the life that you actually desire. And then what I invite you to do is breathe that out. So consciously and really kind of, that's my dog in the background, really consciously breathing that out. So making a real effort to make that an audible breath. So a and Luna's going to want to go out. On that point, I will give you a moment to build that feeling within you while I let the dog out. Bear with me. Apologies for the interruption. So building that feeling inside of you of everything you're ready to release, everything that has held you back from you being the fullest version of you, everything that has held you back from you pursuing your dream life, your dream existence, everything that's held you back from not appreciating the joy that's here in the now. And we're going to breathe that out, as I mentioned, audibly, as audibly as you can. And then on the in-breath, we're going to take in all the parts of you that you had decided or have been led to believe along the way weren't welcome, weren't good enough, weren't okay. So yesterday, I talked about how I was criticized for being talkative. I was criticized for laughing too much. I was criticized for, oh my gosh, this is a long list. I was criticized for not being able to focus on things I didn't enjoy, for not being organized enough, for being too messy. That was a big one. And I could never really be whole until I owned those parts of me, until I brought them back to me and stopped criticizing them and actually saw the beauty in what was within those. So I invite you to breathe in all those parts of you, and you don't even need to know what they are for this exercise, but to breathe in those parts of you that have been lost along the way. So you're breathing in that confidence, that self-worth, that inner love of who you are, taking in a nice deep breath of that. And then on the out breath, we're breathing out all of those things that we're willing to let go of now, all those beliefs that aren't serving us, that aren't us, those things that have held us back. And again, breathing in more of you and breathing out that which isn't you. Breathing in more of you and breathing out that which isn't you. And with each breath you take in, feeling a little bit more whole. And with each breath you breathe out, feeling more yourself. Breathing in, feeling more whole. Breathing out anything that's not you. Breathing in more of yourself. And breathing out anything that's not you. Breathing in more acceptance. And breathing out any judgment. And keeping that going at your own pace. Keeping that intention going as you're breathing. So consciously breathing in more of who you are, becoming more full, more whole. And breathing out anything that doesn't belong, any beliefs or limitations. Breathing in all that is you. And breathing out anything you're ready to release. And taking a moment to just come back to that breath in the belly. Allow yourself to settle, notice if anything feels different. And as and when you feel ready, coming back to the here and now, opening your eyes. While you're coming to, I will have a look at the comments. Louise, you think your thinking is based on your life experiences. Everyone's is lovely. Feeling like you're not worthy. Yeah, the thing is, that's one of 3 beliefs that most people have. So you're not unusual. I want you to know that that's not unusual, right? It's always been that way. So in your head, proof that it's always been this way and it will be this way forever. Yeah. And so the first step is identifying it, which you've done. So congratulate yourself, because 99% of the population won't even see it and they will just be operating from that. The fact that you have seen that is like huge. And I want you to really congratulate yourself on that, because that is a massive thing.